Oh, hi there. I'm Kat. Thank you for joining me for Chat with Kat. We're going on a journey and having conversations with people from a variety of backgrounds and experiences. And during this journey, we're going to probably laugh and smile. We'll have moments of compassion and cry. We may be angry or feel confronted, and we may be amazed and just need to ponder. So, whatever the emotion is that comes up, let's take a moment to breathe and ask ourselves why we're feeling this. And also, let's ask, what can I learn from this? So go ahead and like, share, subscribe to this, and make sure that your friends and family and colleagues and anyone you feel could get something from this gets to see this. So let's get on with our journey with Chat with Kat.
Let's do
All
it.
right. Okay. Well, hi, Mayor.
Hey,
I'm so glad you're here. Thank you.
I'm glad to be here too.
Man, I tell you, Tekken loves us today, Hal.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the viewers don't know. We keep trying to make this happen, but someone's trying to hold us back, but we're here.
Yeah, we're here.
We'll make it work.
Yep.
I'm glad to be here. Excited to chat with Kat.
Great. Well, I'm excited to chat with you and hear about you. So, we know each other in Self Perfected, but other than that, tell people about a bit about yourself.
Yeah, I mean, so I'll tell you a little bit, I guess, about how I grew up. So I grew up in Iran. I was born and raised in Iran, in the capital, Tehran. And then when I was about 14 years old or so, we moved to Vienna. I guess that's how the refugee program worked. It's like we went to Vienna for about 10 months. And then we came here to Houston when I was almost 15, just because my aunt, she lived here and she was the one sponsoring us. And yeah, the first 14 years of it's interesting. The first 14 years of my life, I used to not remember as much just because how depressive it was and all the trauma stuff that was there. But
Mhm.
as you know, we have some tools that we use. As I've been using certain tools, it's like more memories coming up, and I'm like, damn, how did I live through all that? But now we're here, and long story short, we now met. So I mean, there's a lot to go into, but that's pretty much my background. Of I grew up single child. It's funny because here in America, it seems like everyone has a sibling, but I never had any of the sibling. All my cousins, except one, all are like two, three siblings, and yeah, I grew up just playing video games, not really knowing much about anything. You know, my dad used to always go hang out with his mom, so I was just with my mom, and there's nothing to do, so I would just play video games. So most of my life, I just didn't learn much any practical skills or anything, and so most of that I had to learn throughout the mentors I got throughout the years of how to even be a man. You know, so yeah, it's been a rough journey, but now we're here and it's fun, you know. But yeah,
Well, well, I guess the biggest question is like, what got you here? Like, what got you with the Self Perfected group?
so what got me? Well, so let's see. You want the long story or the medium story? Because there's no way I could do a short story. So, let's see. So I'll start from this point of like how I got even, because how I ended up here it started within the whole self-development thing, right? And I know not everyone's into self-development, but I'm assuming if they're watching this, there's a good chance they are. And that side came from my mom. She always had health issues. Like she had, I think it's called fibromyalgia, which she had like pain in all her body. Like I would like touch her like this and she's like ouch, ouch. And she told me like for 30, 40 years you only would get about 2, 3 hours of sleep per night. And so all these health complications and so forth, and doctors pretty much were like there's no hope, there's no cure. And so she from a very early on she knew she can't just trust my mom was one of those where even when I hear her story as a kid, she just hated the system. hated anything that had to do with system, education system, like the schools, how it was taught, the abuse in the schools, the medical thing, like the hospitals, how that system worked. And I remember my grandpa, like my mom's dad, he had Alzheimer's and stuff, and they took him to this hospital thing for his last few months he was alive, and the stuff they would do to him, I was like, I'd rather be dead than to be here. It was just a lot of suffering, abuse, right? And so my mom, on top of doctors being like, there's no cure, she naturally went the route of like, okay, what are natural medicines, or, you know, that's how she started her journey. And in Iran, that stuff, herbal and different healing plants and boiling this kind of this with that or whatever, all that stuff is it's more happening there, especially than US. Here, I'm pretty sure you know what happens to people that do those things, right? But so she started down the path. She read so many books on health and food and body and all this stuff. And she came across, so that's how she even came across positive thinking, and then law of attraction, the secret movie, books. Well, she read the books, right? And she used to always tell me about this stuff growing up, but I never would listen to her, right? Because my mom, she was super spiritual, but my dad was the opposite. He's like, that stuff is bullshit. Like he didn't believe in any of that, right? And so fast forward, we come to America, and then all of a sudden, I have to go to school, and I generally didn't like school. Now I had to go to a school that's like in a whole nother language, and I don't understand the language. So it's like every test, I'm like, what is this? What does it even say? I don't even, and I didn't have a phone, so I can't even translate anything, right? And the teachers don't know how to translate. And it's funny, the first day of me in school, the teacher tried to say something to me. I couldn't understand it. And she was like, okay, hold on, let me go bring someone that can translate. And he brought this guy, and this guy starts speaking Spanish. And I'm like, what language is that? I'm like, I still don't understand. And they're like, wait, what language do you speak? And I'm like, Farsi. And I didn't know that apparently I look like Hispanics, and everyone, still to this day, everyone, even today, I was at Macy's, and this old lady started speaking Spanish to me, and I'm like, I don't understand Spanish. I mean, I understand it a little bit, but I'm not going to start speaking Spanish. And she was like, oh, no. And she continued speaking Spanish. So yeah, in school, because of that, it's like the only things I was good at in school was math and anything that didn't have to do with me understanding the language. As long as it was numbers, it was super easy here in America. And what's funny, Kat, it's I used to fail most of my stuff in Iran, like how difficult it was. And so when here in America, I started getting A's. I was invited to the National Honor Society. I was invited to societies that was like very rare to get invited to in school, in high school. I got principal's award. I got a math award. When I won the award for math, out of that was in middle school, out of all these kids, hundreds of kids, and they give it to me, I was like, okay, something's wrong with the system if I'm doing so well here. Like, what's going on? I start questioning, I'm like, I'm not supposed to have all these awards. Like, what's going on? So so through school, I knew, so I started getting bullied in school, right? And kids literally either throwing things at me, giving me faces, or even physically like hitting me hard in the shoulder as they were walking by in the hallway. Because the teacher was saying like, look, everyone, look how Mahyar's doing great grades, and you guys should be like him. And the kids, I guess, didn't like that, right? Like, who's this new kid that's getting all this attention from teachers, whatever. And so it got so bad, the bullying and all that, to a point where I was every day from school, I was calling my mom, terrified. I'm like, pick me up. I don't want to be here. I would like cry. Every single class, I was calling her every single day for 3 months. Every day, every class. Some students were like, what's going on? Like, they thought I was like working I don't know. I thought they thought I'm somebody, that I'm on the phone every single class. They're like, "What's going on?" And it's just I didn't want to be there. I didn't understand. And growing up, I always had difficulty learning. And here they call it dyslexia and even ADHD and all that. I had all of those, right? And so like it got so bad to a point where I was like, okay, this is probably what rock bottom feels like. And I don't know where I'm like, let me start listening to what my mom's been saying all these years about this positive thinking, whatever, bullshit that she's into. Let me listen, let me try it. And yeah, I started thinking positively, and I don't remember obviously the details of how it went. It just started with, my mom was into God and angels and all that. So at first it
Mhm.
started by her being like, I don't know, just say that. I don't remember if she said God is watching you or angels are watching or someone's watching you, and just ask him for protection. I don't know, something like that. And I didn't believe that stuff. I just felt good doing it. So I'm like, might as well do it to feel good because the school feels horrible.
Mhm.
And just through that, it gave me like a sense of confidence. And all of a sudden, half of the kids that were bullying me, they just disappeared. They either switched schools or, I don't know, in the hallway, we used to have these papers that said missing. And it was like picture of kids that either went missing, they got killed. I guess they were doing drugs or something, or they just got arrested. And some of the people that used to bully me showed up on those, posters. And I'm like, damn,
Wow.
how is this working? And then the few that remained became my best friend. Out of nowhere, they started smiling. They started helping me out. And I was like, what is even going on? So I was like, whatever my mom said, it seemed to be working. And so that's how I got into self development. I was like, okay, what is this law of attraction thing, whatever? And I started down that path. And I eventually came across, my cousin told me about the Global Information Network group, and they had an event. And so I went to that event, and that's how I met Drake, who Drake and I with Mitchell, we host the Self Perfected calls. That's where I met Drake. I was 19 at the time, right? And this is in early 2019, I think. And then Drake introduced me to Cameron and so forth. And then so I joined the Tegna to the group first, and then got the tool within a couple months, and that was a huge help. And I'm sure we could get into that if you want. And just my ability to read, comprehend, all increased. And then a few months later is when we met Mitchell at another Global Information Network event. And then when Mitchell came into the group and got Tegna to and so forth, I went to California for 3 months to spend time with my dad. And for 3 months, I was not connected. Like I wasn't on the calls or anything, like the calls we have with TT. And but by the time I came back, like Mitchell had done so much in terms of like he went ham using the tools, and all of a sudden he was making a ton of money. I think by the time I got back, he was doing like $250,000 in revenue in like e-commerce and all that stuff. And then he gave that up, started to share Tagneted, and then made over 12K his first month just sharing that. And I was like, damn, I want to learn from Mitchell. And then I remember talking with Cameron and saying, "Oh, at some point it would be cool to have a group that people who don't specifically have technical can be part of that, so we can, share some of these uh, thoughts and process and stuff with those people, right?" And he's like, "Oh, Mitchell already created one," and so that's how I heard about it. I got into the group when there was like, I don't know, 10 people or something, and I didn't understand what it was about, what was the point of it, and yeah, that's how I joined. Because Mitchell was like, "Hey, get in this group and let's start doing calls." And at the beginning, there's like 5 people, 4 or 5 people, and then 10 people, and then I don't know. I just kept popping up because I was like, it's Friday, I don't have anything else to do, so
Mhm.
might as well. And that's how we are now. We're, I don't know, we got a few thousand people in that group. So there you go. That's a little bit of that story. I know I shared a lot there.
No,
But yeah.
That's great. Thank you. I appreciate that. And
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who do watch this don't know much about self-perfected or technotutor or never heard of it. And there are other people who are just sharing stories who are, something that has happened in their life where they've come on the other side, or they've learned something.
Mhm.
And so I know those are people in our group as well who are watching,
Right.
right? So
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I try to keep it also. I share it vague because obviously whoever's watching, if they want more specifics, they can just reach out to you or I, and we can go more in depth. But we don't know who's watching, so I can't just go specific into one point. So I'll
right.
try to hit as many points. But yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
So how fast was it that you started to learn English then? Because you said you were still not understanding in school, and you
Mhm.
were, so like, how long did it take you to start learning English? Because um, it wasn't that long ago. I mean, what, 11 years ago, I guess, maybe?
2013. So 2013 is when we came to US. And well, I'll tell you the version of English I learned first before I learned the English that I'm speaking with you now. And that may sound weird, but I remember when I first came to the US, 2 weeks after me, this Chinese kid came in. His name was Dong Yang. And we had, out of the 7 classes, I guess, we shared like 3 classes or 4 classes. And so I saw him regularly, and every single time he would sit in front of me or next to me, like at my table, and he was like shaking from nervousness, anxiety, and it reminded me of me because like we were both the only ones shaking out of stress, anxiety of like what's gonna happen to us, like what are these people saying? We none of us, both of us didn't understand English, and so I think we connected on that point. And then one day I said hi to him because we were both shy, all this stuff. And it's funny, most of the kids here that go to next grades, it's like the same type of people, classes, whatnot. And I remember after 2, 3 years of being with the same kids, like by the time we're in high school and I'm a sophomore, right? When I won an award as a sophomore and my name got announced to, all the kids, as soon as the teacher was like first place and then Mahyary Sotoodian, literally half the class started whispering like, "Mayor, who's Mayor? Like, we have a mayor in this class." Like, they didn't even know I existed because I was this kid in the back of the class that never talked. So at the beginning, me and Dong Yang talking, we ended up getting this, I don't know what it's called in English, but it was like a translator, but not a phone. It was like you could type on it, whatever, but it's just a translator thing. And he had his version like in Chinese, and then I had mine that was like with Farsi. And after, I would say, 6 to 8 months, we started picking up basic stuff. I was like, "How are you doing?" and "What's going on?" and like simple vocabulary. But then many of the things we wanted to communicate, we didn't know the English word for it. And even if we tried to search it in Farsi, we couldn't pronounce the English word. But it was funny because when we would talk, I would be like, "Yeah, yeah, this word, I don't know." And he's like, "No, I know what you mean." So it's funny, like we knew what we were talking about, we just didn't have the words. So we would just make up a word that we had heard in English, and we would attach the definition of our definition to the words. So after like a year of us being together, we could communicate very well. Right after a year or two, we could communicate in our language very well, which was English. But then as soon as we would start talking to other kids that spoke English, all of a sudden they couldn't understand anything we were saying. Like we would say the same thing, and they're like, "What are you guys even saying? You're just saying random words. Like they don't even go together." Like, what do you? And it's funny. So with each other, our confidence was high. With these kids, our confidence was low, and so it was about like that for literally all the way up until 2019 or so, I would say. Since I got Techno tutor, my English was like that. Like I could maybe understand what people were saying, to a level like I could understand 20-30% really well, because my memory was very short term. Also, I couldn't even retain what they were saying, so I would lose them and whatever. And yeah, so up until 2019, I got techno there, and then it took me a year of actually using TT every day, like the 30 minutes. Before that, I would just use it, not use it for 4 days, then use it because I didn't understand it. It was so simple. But when I started using it, that's when my English actually started to get to a point where after 15 seconds of talking to someone, I wouldn't hear like, Mayor, what are you saying? It doesn't make sense. Up until then, that was every conversation. Eventually people are like, okay, I don't understand what you're saying. Even at the beginning when I was talking to Cameron and them, it was the same thing. They're like, I don't understand what you're trying to say. And so that's why I had to get the tools and use it, and eventually got to a point where within, I would say, 2 to 3 weeks of using TT consistently, Techniteur, that's when I actually, my English took off and I could understand things. My reading tripled, my comprehension 5x. Like all of a sudden, people couldn't tell that I was from another country or was born somewhere else. So that's kind of that journey. So it took a lot of years until I could actually speak it. So without TT, who knows where I would be. I used to literally pray to be like, God, if you're real, please let me learn English so I can communicate with these people. It's very painful. Like not going to a country you don't speak their language. It's like another form of torture in a way. You know?
Wow.
Yeah. So there you go.
So, I mean, just right there, that's an amazing tool just for people who are trying to learn English, I guess. Like they've come there from another country and maybe they did come as a refugee or something, and having to, be thrown into the culture and language very quickly.
Yeah.
Right there, that's a great tool for people.
Yeah, isn't it crazy? And even think about it, Kat. Like, I mean, you are English speaking. How many English speaking people you talk to that you're like, God, like, why didn't you understand what I'm saying? Like, like, why can't you understand what I'm saying? So you would think that like when I share that story, a lot of people think it relates to people who are non-English speaking, and I'm like, no, actually, people who are English speaking don't know English. If you think about it. Like they don't know meanings of simple words. Same thing in Farsi. When I was in Iran, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Like the Farsi language was one of my lowest grades. Whereas here, English is in school is one of the lowest grades people get is actually English and vocabulary. So there you go. You know?
Well, I mean, it's interesting because I even have a friends here so we were in a motorcycle group together, and her and
That's
her
cool.
husband were like my brother and sister, really. Like that's how close we got, right?
Yeah.
And I don't have any siblings, so this is like my brother and sister. And so we would get together, and her husband and I would get on these like talks and talk really deep about philosophical things and all these things, and how how we're going to solve problems in the world. And at some point, you knew she just zoned out, because she even said, she goes, I don't even understand what you guys are talking about. Like you're speaking
Really?
English, but your vocabulary. No, what did she say? She's like, what you say, I don't even understand.
Really?
Yeah, just because of our
Yeah.
levels of schooling, where we grew up, and everything was
Yeah.
just, it's all different, right?
Right, yeah.
And I grew up, reading a lot, and books were very important, right? So education, books were very important in my family. And when I was a kid, it was always like, well, go play outside with the kids. But I didn't really understand the kids. I mean, I would have fun with them for a while, but then I would just be bored with them, because they were just, I felt like they just was like, oh, why are you so immature?
Yeah.
And maybe that's because I'm an only
Sure.
child and they had brothers and sisters, right? So maybe
yeah.
that's what it was. But I would at some point
Yeah.
just not want to go and play with them. So I would just go and sit outside and read a book, because I wasn't allowed in the house.
Oh wow.
So it's like,
What's interesting, like you saying that, I growing up, I never resonated or connected with any other kids. Even when I was like 6 years old and we go to someone's house and my parents are like, go play with the kids. Like I never would play with toys. I always saw that as a waste of time. It was weird. Like I would see kids playing with toys and all that, and I'm like same age as them, but I'm looking at them like, dude, what are you doing? Like I'd rather be in the whatever the adults are talking about. That sounds interesting. Like why would I be here talking, playing with toys? I couldn't read books, so for me it was either sit with the adults or just play video games as a waste of time. But yeah, that's interesting.
I
Yeah.
was the same though. I like to hang out with the adults more than the kids.
Yeah, there you go.
So
That's funny.
so I want to know, other than learning English quickly and well using TechnoTutor, I want to know what other changes have you noticed in your own personal life with using the tools or being part of the self-perfected group?
Yeah, I mean, so a little context for like self-perfect, that we created that so it could be like the middle way of like people out in the world, so they can come into the tools we have, TechnoTutor, Destiny, because it's not also just TechnoTutor, it's combining that with Destiny and the self-forgiveness process. Like it's like working out without the supplements. It's like you can't do one or the other. Supplements being like the right food and all that, right? But I mean, some of I would say who I am today. Okay. So Tony Robbins, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I was in middle school, no, high school, when I started understanding some English, my mom would send me these videos of Tony Robbins or even Joel Osteen. He's one of the most famous pastors. He's, not far from me here. And she would send me these videos with like Persian subtitles, and I would watch them. And I remember one thing Tony Robbins said that really stuck out to me was he said that who he was, he had to design everything about who he wanted to be, which he was living as. And he's like, I am not, if I went naturally, be who I was, I would not be who I am today. And I also, this might be controversial, I don't know, but like I never agreed with people who are like, oh, just be yourself. Because if people were, how many people are just themselves and they're like poor, struggling, like they can't do anything? It's like, no, you can't be yourself, And you can't even be yourself with yourself, because yourself is rather do nothing in a way. Well, the way we're programmed, obviously. So you can't even be yourself in that context, But so it started with Tony Robbins saying that point of you can change who you want to be. But now the difference was Tony, to a very large degree, and I met him this literally last month, was it? You could just see the guy he's not the average person in terms of like how tall he is, how he sounds. He's huge. The charisma he has, like the average person is not like that, right? Even before I've seen videos of him like way, way younger, just how he sounded. Like not everyone has that, right? And they don't realize, like, if you're born with it, like I was born with the talent of being really good at soccer, like the talent I have of how I can play and the moves I can do and all that stuff. It's like I just thought, oh, that's normal. Like everyone should be able to do that. But then you realize, no, it's actually not that easy. It's just because I got the genetics from my dad, because he was good at sports, doesn't mean everyone else is also. And so I'm sharing that story because that was a foundation of why it led me even to these tools, because I always wanted to see what can I do to change super fast, because I don't want to be who I am anymore. Because who I am, first, I'm suffering myself, but two, I always had, different abilities and gifts of being able to see people's, past programmings, thoughts, who they were. And it was just painful seeing everyone. It was like watching zombies walk around, but they all had, a lot of potential. I could see this person would be good at music, this person would be good at this. And when I would talk to them, they're like, damn, how do you know that, right? Like complete strangers. But I didn't have a way of helping them, because anything I would say to help them, they wouldn't listen, because they're like, oh, but why should I listen to you? You have nothing I want. You live with your mom, you're single, you've never talked to a girl, like you don't have
Mhm.
money. Like I remember someone was like, Mayor, you're like you where you are is like most guys' biggest fear to be, and you act like everything's fine because of my positive thinking, right? And that was a reality not too long ago, like 5, 6 years ago, right? And so when I spent thousands of dollars on courses, and any person that said that was like, they would explain something and I'm like, yeah, that's me, and then they're like, buy this course, I would always buy the course because I wasn't familiar. I thought these people had the answer. I didn't know what sales was, or I grew up in Iran. It's like you think you could only be a doctor or engineer. Like it didn't even occur to me like people who work at supermarkets, like that's a job, or like I
Mm.
did not know anything, right? I thought that I think at some point we ended up owning a TV, because I never owned internet until I was 16, 17 years old here in the US. But I remember when even at my uncle's house, we would watch movies with like Dwayne Johnson and so forth. I didn't even know these people were real people. I just thought, I don't know, this box is creating random image. I didn't think any of it was real. I couldn't process it. Just to put in perspective, like how low vocabulary I actually was. Um,
Mm.
and it's funny because the live shows, like the live kids shows, whatever I would watch, and it would say live at the top, and live in Farsi, how it translated in English, it would be alive, right? The word for live was like alive. So I
Mhm.
just thought like, oh, any show that has that word, that means those people are alive. Anyone else is just made up, right? Like that's how I used
Mhm.
to think. And anyway, so I bought all these courses. I couldn't even process them. So I would be excited, passionate. I'm like telling my mom, like, Mom, my life is gonna change. I'm gonna, take care of us. And then I thought this course is like, I would get sold super easily in all the ways that these guys would sell. But then I wouldn't go anywhere. I wouldn't do anything with the courses. And I'm like, okay, next one. I had the shiny syndrome object, whatever they say, shiny object syndrome,
Mhm.
jump from this thing to that thing, thinking it's the next answer. And I know I'm giving you the longer answer to you ask, like, how has it helped personally? But I think the context is also important of like TT is not just like some random tool that I magically came across and like it happened to work. It's like, no, I literally tried so many other things and talked to thousands of people who've tried so many things, and literally TT was the only thing that actually worked for
Mhm.
people like me who didn't have like advantages genetically of like some I wasn't born in some elite house or some shit, where, or not even that, I didn't, because you hear the stories of people who are like, well, my parents were poor and I made it out and I made all this money. But then every single time I ask who their dad was, and it's like some like super consistent, disciplined person, or the dad was in the army, or the dad got up at 4 a.m. for like 40 years, or it's like they got that passed down. I got none of
Mhm.
it. My dad barely would get up at 11 a.m. Like if he got up at 11 on a weekend, we're like, oh shit, he's up early. And so I didn't learn about consistency. I didn't even know what these words meant. And so when I came across Technotutor, I told you for a year and a half, I didn't really use it because I didn't understand it. Because even when they were trying to explain it to me, I still couldn't understand their explanation because I couldn't understand the language. I could
Mhm.
process it. But when I was, so I told you when I came back, I saw Mitchell making all this money, and then I was like, let me take it serious. The part I missed was when I was still on the ranch with my dad in California. We were in Ojai, California. It's like 45 minutes outside of Los Angeles. We were on this 144-acre property with this guy who, was worth $500 million. And my dad always would, find wealthy people, like wealthy people like my dad for whatever reason. And at least
Mhm.
that got passed down to me. So it's like, well, he would act, so my wealthy people would like my dad because he was like the best slave to them, best servant, like yes man, like do whatever they said, almost be on his knees of like, whatever you want, sir, type thing. But I didn't have that, meaning the first time I met this guy that owned the property, that ranch that my dad was on, and just to put in perspective, his property was one of the most expensive property in all of Ojai. Like the guy had two mansions. So in the 144 acres he had, there's two big hills, right? And Ojai is known for like all the artistic people and creative people that are super mega wealthy go to get away from the city and work on their crafts or whatever. And so super wealthy people. And then this guy apparently was one of the tops out of all those people. And he had like just one 10, $15 million mansions on one of the hills in the ranch. That was like the main place they would come every Saturday, Sunday. And his kids would throw parties there and they would spend like 10 grand on just drinks and stuff. And then the dad saw how much the kids were throwing parties. So he built another 4-bedroom, 3-bath, like big house in the other hill so that his friends could stay over, and all the friends would pull up in, G-Wagon and all these expensive cars. So that was like the farm that I was on. And when I was out there, it was, I'm just every day with my dad. Because, I could go hang out with the wealthy people, but my dad is like, no, that's not nice, whatever. The guy would always invite me because I was calling the guy uncle. Like I didn't care how much he's worth or whatever. So he liked me. He was trying to give me business advice, life advice. He told me, he's like, Mayor, I spend over $100,000 a month on this farm. I don't even make money. I don't care. It's just for fun. If you want, you see all those fruits. He had every kind of fruit trees you could think of in that property. And he's like, grab one of these boxes, go pick the fruits, and then I can introduce you to the local guys, markets and stuff, and go sell it. And whatever money you make, keep it. But I want you to learn the lesson of how to create money. And I didn't understand what this guy was saying. I was at that stage, I was just into God and all that. I'm like, no, God will take care of me. I don't need that stuff, So, but like he liked me, right? But I remember when I was out there for 3 months, right? The first month, it was just whatever. I was just with the ranch, and then my cousins, they were in Los Angeles, so we would go visit them. But then beginning of month 2 or towards the end of month 1, I started posting motivational quotes and stuff on Instagram, and I think I recorded some motivational videos too, like short videos on Instagram. I didn't have any viewers or anything, but I just like doing it. I always like helping people, whatever I could, and I was like, thinking positive worked for me, so let me help others think positive. I don't know. And my cousin, I remember, so this was end of 2019. So this was November, right? And towards the end of November, my cousin's like, hey, there's this thing called TikTok, and it's very new. Not many people know about it, but a lot of kids are on there, like these 14, 15-year-old kids, and they're just dancing, doing cringy stuff, and they're getting millions of views and all that. Like, why don't you post your stuff on TikTok too and see what happens? I was like, okay. And I knew nothing about it. And I remember I posted one motivational video, and then I was like, you know what? No one knows I created this TikTok. So why not? I always like being goofy and acting and stuff. I was like, what if I just do the cringy stuff that I find enjoying, but I'm not gonna tell anyone, because if they find out like kind of videos I would make, like they'll be like, what the hell is this? But so I was like, you know what? Let me just be myself, like fuck around. I don't know, right? And I remember from now December to January 1st, literally, I posted 133 videos. I have a screenshot on January 1st, 2020. I took a screenshot. I have 133 videos. And out of because I was posting 8 to 10 times every single day, I was spending 8 hours a day learning about TikTok, watching videos about TikTok, algorithms, how to come up with ideas. 8 hours every single day. It was very exhaustive. And I was posting on top of the 8 hours of learning. And in 1 month, I only got 1,000 followers. literally on January 1st, 2020, I hit 1,000 followers, and I have screenshots for all of it. After over 100 videos posted and only 5,000 likes from all the videos combined, and my most viewed video was maybe, I don't know, like 2,000 views or 1,200 views, right? And then I remember I was like, wait, I have this thing, this Techno tutor that I didn't fully understand. I knew it has a component of it where I could create my own list, and all I understood at that time was I thought maybe Technotutor is this tool that I can program myself for success, or it was very vague. But I was like, what if I put in Technotutor what I want to accomplish with TikTok? Because if any change happens, I know for a fact it was because Technotutor helped me do that, right? It wasn't just me doing it myself. And I remember putting in there whatever I put, and long story short, 2 weeks after that, right? I went from January 1st, 1,000 followers and 5,000 likes to 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later or so. We could even say a month later, but literally in 2-3 weeks, I had over 50,000 followers, almost 1 million likes, and then my most viewed video, I don't know, to this day, maybe 4 million views, right? And I got probably 10, 15, 20 million views in 2 weeks, right? People could recognize, people somehow found my Instagram. They started messaging me. I had none of it linked, right? But people started finding me. Fans started sharing my videos, and they were making videos with my videos. And I had the hype, what they called it back then, right? Like I think I was getting 100 followers per minute at some points, and 12,000 followers per day, right? That was like the average. So it was insane. And I was like, holy shit, like that's gotta be Technotutor. There's no way I could have done any of that, right? It's like the whole out. And I stopped studying TikTok. It's so funny. I did Technotutor for 10 minutes. I stopped studying. I stopped posting 8 to 10 times. I was posting not even half of that, way less than that. I didn't study, but all of a sudden, 1 out of every 3 videos I would post would go viral, like 800,000, 900,000. Like the least was like 400K. That's when I recorded with my cousin. But that obviously, all those videos now to this day has so much views. I don't even know, because I don't post, but I'm still getting followers to this day because of the content I made back then. So that was the start of like, oh wow, this thing works. So then when I came back, I started working with my dad's friend who I had worked with previously for 2 years. He was selling like a seat cover replacement for trucks. Like if something happened to your seat cover, you would go on eBay and buy a cover. His company was one of the companies, but his company was like the smallest one. Like his competitors were selling 70, 80 packages a day. He was selling 5 packages. And after 2 years of working with him, we were selling around 15 packages. But then for about a year, I didn't talk to him because I got involved with TT, and then I traveled and all that. But then when I came back, he called me. He's like, hey, I need your help, right? And he was my dad's friend. So I was like, all right, I'll help out. He was here in Houston, right? And so I came back, and then I went to work with him. And then I was like, you know what? Now this time I want to see if I can use Technotutor to see how much can we grow this guy's business. And I took his business within 2 months and took it from, after 5 years, and he bought that business from someone. So he bought a business that was already doing 20K, and he raised it to like maybe 30K revenue. So his profit was still not that much really. And within 2 months of me using Technotutor and helping him out, I took his business to over 200,000 a month, or around 200,000, with a lot of profit. Like everything I made that guy I literally created a website for him, and the first month we did 40K from his brand new website, and I controlled all that. Like he was like, do whatever. He was focused on his main eBay. I created a second eBay. First month did 15K, so I did half of what he was doing just in the first month. And then by the time I left, I hired so many people for him that we put in position. And now his business today, he built a whole empire through seat covers, right? Just because of the foundation I built for him before I left. And I was like, damn, this works. And I left right around when COVID, became a thing. People were freaking out. And I was like, okay, I want to have my own business. And I chose the business to be sharing Technitor because I'm like, I saw that much result. And since then, in my personal life, I've done over $1 million in sales. I've gotten married. I've gotten my first car was a Mercedes I bought myself. The second car was a six-figure car I got myself. I was paying $2,000 a month on that. I now live in literally like a resort here. Like it's just $2,000 a month here with the pool view, and it has mini golf and all that stuff here. And also spoken on stages around the world, literally in front of hundreds and hundreds of people. Have met literally every single person I used to watch as a kid or listen to as a kid, like the Tony Robbins or even Dwayne Johnson, like you name it. I met all those people. What's funny is I shared Technitor with my cousin who lives in LA, the guy who told me about TikTok, and I shared Technitor with him, and now he's met so many famous people, like up to Kevin Hart's and all that stuff, and he's worked with their managers. He worked with this guy who literally made helped Tony Robbins become famous, helped Gary Vee, for people who know Gary Vaynerchuk in entrepreneurship, become famous, or the guy who helped the Kardashian family, like that. My cousin started working with those people, and then he created a social media company that now I think he helps companies who do $500 million a year, and they pay him $20K or whatever per client that to just manage their stuff. And so he's done well for himself too. At some point, he was doing six-figure a month doing e-commerce and all that. So that's also the impact of not just for me, but when I shared it with other people. I shared Technitor with my mom. Somehow her fibromyalgia that the doctors say could never be healed went away. She now sleeps regularly. We can't even get her out of bed now. So it's like that problem went away, And she's like a massage therapist, and she's been trained in, so many countries from top masters of massage or whatever who understand body and how the things are connected. She learned Reiki and so many things from them, and she went from making $3,000-4,000 a month to her first month taking TT serious, like using it every day. She made $7,000-8,000 that year. She made maybe over $100K in profit as a massage therapist, which I know a massage therapist here. She's been doing it for 20 years, and she makes nowhere close to that. And she has wealthy clients too. And so, like that to me also is a big impact of what TT's done, is like how my family has changed because of my change, So yeah, I mean, there's a lot more, but that's just some of it. I mean, I've learned how to play guitar in an hour. I've learned how to solve Rubik's Cube in 10 minutes. Like, these are like the side quest of stuff I learned to do just to use TT. So yeah.
Oh my goodness, that is so crazy. Like just hearing all that. Like you think, okay, it can't, like you're doing this, you're meeting these people, that's insane. And then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, and I just did this. And it's it's
Yeah.
like no big deal.
It is insane. Yeah. It's like the Limitless movie, but in real life. Like that was my goal, is like, can I do what this guy in Limitless did? And it's crazy. Like this stuff I've done and I've seen people do. It's literally like the movies you see, like Matrix. It's like, oh, I don't know how to do it. Okay, now I know. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I don't know how many people would just be like, yes, I want that. Like if I could just take it and then learn it in an hour and do it, that's it. I want it.
Yeah.
Right? So,
yeah, it's worth it. Yeah,
man.
it is. I mean, again, go back to, I'm pretty sure you bought courses and books, and I mean, I don't know how much is that industry worth. We spend so much money, but what's the result there? And here I'm using 30 minutes of a tool, and I'm getting 50,000. Literally, the TikTok followers, all that was just from the 15 minutes of TT I did. I didn't even use it more because I even forgot that I have put that in TT. It's so natural. And guess what? Literally that night that I made that TT list and did it, that night I made a video that was my first million view video. Like I created it that same night. It was just insane. Like I'm not the stuff I'm done. Like I'm not supposed to have done these things. Like I didn't look like a guy who could be famous or any of that shit. You know, I couldn't even grow a beard back then. So like even my acne, like pimples, I used to have pimples everywhere. Like all that is gone, right? Like right now, there's no filter on the. I'm pretty sure Zoe or whatever we're recording doesn't have filter, so it's like that's gone. But you see my cousins, they have like pimples everywhere. Yeah, they're like, what's going on? So yeah, no, 100%. Like I wish I had this as a kid. I mean, you know, where would we be if you had this thing as a kid? You know?
Oh man, if I had this in the community and the support to go along with it as a kid, like I can't even tell you where I'd be right now because I always thought big anyways. And I always like
Yeah,
my people kept telling me to get my head out of the clouds and like be grounded,
yeah,
right? Because I would just
yeah,
see such big picture. Like it's like, well,
yeah.
why this is such a small thing. I see this, right?
Yeah, same thing.
So
Yeah,
yeah, I can't
we're
even
in the gym, like
imagine what
yeah,
would
you probably be the first lady or some even beyond that. Like you know, I could definitely see it.
I don't know. I mean, I know at one point I actually saw myself winning an Oscar, but life took a different turn there. So I mean, I wasn't acting actually. I wasn't acting for a while, and I have won
Really?
award. Like I did one award, yeah. But
Okay.
you know, it's a tough career. Like honestly, it's
Oh
a
yeah, I know.
dog eat dog world, and you have to always be working and always be training. And if you even take a moment's breath, like you're
Yeah,
done. You're yesterday's news. You're old. Like
yeah.
it's just like you got to kind of always rebuilding yourself. So it's not an easy industry. Like the very few people, even as an A-lister, like I know people who, or not know, I've met people who
Mm-hmm.
were stars of a hit TV show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And running this wave, and everybody knows who they are, and everybody wants their autograph. And but even when they're not filming their TV show, they're filming movies because the minute they take a break, they're nobody anymore,
They just
right?
get replaced so fast. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I mean, I was like, gosh, that is a hard life to keep doing that. I mean,
It's a
the
treadmill. You're just running.
yeah. So, I mean,
Yeah.
very few people are getting to that point where they're making like, 50 million, $100 million a movie and then never have to
Yeah.
work again, right? Even at those ones where, hey, they're making $5 million or something for their TV series, they can't stop.
Yeah. Because most of that actually goes to their managers, taxes, all that. So if they let's say make 3 million, like what's left for them is actually around 400-500K, which
Yeah.
I want to buy watches at some point that cost three times that. So it's like, what's that gonna do? you know?
Right.
So yeah, no, I feel you.
Yeah, so it's just a tough world to be in. But yeah, at
Yeah.
one point I did see like, oh, I'll be walking down and get myself an Oscar,
But
but
think about it. So even the Oscar, I'm pretty sure like if you actually want it, if you know which if you know behind the scenes what's going on, I'm pretty sure you'd be like, okay, yeah, I don't want to go that route. But even if you wanted to, like, we could use the tools to make it happen. It just wouldn't
Mhm.
make sense. But also the work you have to do, like you said, it's just never ending. Whereas the stuff I told you that I've accomplished, like the monies I made, there was a day I helped a guy make $3,000 in 2 minutes, like $1,500 a minute. Like how many people can make over $1,000 in a minute, like, or in a day, And I literally that was me most days just watching Netflix, wasting time, still being lazy. Like I did not actually work hard to do those
Mhm.
things in terms of what you would think working hard means, you know? And that's
Mhm.
just crazy. Like, so, but now I'm getting to a point where I want to also work hard on top of working smart or whatever they say. So then we'll see what happens. But yeah.
But do you know, I mean, that's $1 billion industry right there. You said just to be make a couple $1,000s, right, in a day. I mean, people are. paying for courses like you did, like in the self-improvement and development. They're paying
Yeah.
for courses and they're paying for education to try to learn how to do these things and aren't doing it.
Yeah, they're
So,
not. And the people selling them the courses know they're not going to be able to do it. That's why for me, like I can go charge, I can find, again, I easily get into rooms with very wealthy people or people who can pay me 20 grand if they wanted to get access to the knowledge I have. And many people have asked me to, like they've asked me stuff and I'm like, are you in the groups that I'm in? If not, then like you have to be here. And I don't even charge people extra. I just be like, if you get Technitutor, I'll support you to the as best as I can because I can't be on the phone with everyone every day. But you know what I mean? It's like that's the point of a group is a way to filter out to see okay who's actually serious, who's not, and the people who are in the group, like we actually support. I mean, you're in the self-perfected calls; those are the free calls, right?
mm-hmm.
And you see how many people we support there to get into relationships, make more money, all that stuff. And then the people who have Technitutor and get on the Technitutor support calls after that, they've done even more stuff. So for the amount of like results we're getting people and how much it costs, it's like nothing. Like private school charges more per year than what TT is, right? I don't want to say exactly how much it is, so people have to reach out and we see who's serious, but you know what it costs. Like it's nowhere. I saw a suit jacket this today that costs over 15K. Like,
Yeah.
and that's just a jacket. Like, you see. But what is your education worth? You know, where you could become a genius. So
Well, and I mean, it's funny because I kicked myself for not getting into this earlier because I know Avery, right? We've known each other actually back from the Global Information Network. Is how I met him.
yeah,
And so he was talking about this with Cameron, and he goes, "This, yeah, I brought this thing," and it's like I'm like, honest to God, when he first told me about it, I was like, I don't understand why, and I'm not going to spend money for this.
yeah.
And
Which
so
is
I
normal.
waited.
Yeah.
Yeah, I waited a few years, and then I was like, finally, I was like, did a demo with him. I was like, okay, fine, do a demo, fine. And then I finally was like, okay, there's something to this, so I got it. But even when I got it, like that was so many years ago, right? To what it is now, I don't even know now the cost, but I know I got it at a big deal. Like,
yeah. No, you
I
got
just
it.
was thinking, I got it like day one. I would have been laughing at everybody, but like I
Right.
basically got it for free, which I mean, there was still a cost, but comparatively, right? But
It's always a bargain as long as you start, because yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I
So,
feel you. That's funny.
oh my gosh, yeah. So I want to know, like, how has relationships changed for you?
What kind of relationships?
Personal, like with your friends, with your family,
Mhm.
like how has that changed? Because it seems like a lot of people around you are doing the work, right?
Yeah. So good question. Yeah, because even my wife is doing process and all that stuff. She's probably doing some right now. But the biggest thing that changed was regaining or reminding myself or remembering that at some point we were creators, just like how we created our first best friend. We forget at some point that we can go and create more friends. So we hold on to the friends we've created, not realizing or seeing that those people are actually most of the time the ones that when we want to change, or we want to get the tools, they're the ones that's like, no, it's a scam, it's a cult, it's a whatever names they put to it, and they don't even know what it is. And they're the ones actually holding us back from growing. And usually it's the people you're like, I love these people the most. Now, for me, my situation, it's like I never had that point of like, I never got that from my mom and dad of like how to care. Like if, my grandpa like passed away and I was like, okay, just went back to playing video. Like I couldn't process like losing people. It was just like you move on. But at some point through using Technitutor, the biggest way it's helped is gaining the ability to go and create the friends that I want. Meaning, if I meet someone and they're not aligned with actually wanting to change themselves, like at least start there. Like, forget change the world. Like, the world starts with each of us first. But if they don't want to change themselves, or they don't want to be honest, or changing themselves also, now, by how I understand it, it's like depends on your starting point. Just because, let's say if someone's like, I have Technet today, I just want to go, I don't know, build a drug dealing business. Like, I'm not gonna help them in that. It's like, okay, those are the tools, but we also have principles that I live by. Like, if it's outside of that, I'm not gonna, be aligned. And so now I've been fortunate enough to literally go and meet people that are cool, share the tools, and then through using the tools, the common sense goes higher.
Mhm.
They trust themselves more, which means I can trust them more. And I've done business with literally people who are part of the community and have the tools. Like, I wouldn't even do business with someone who don't even have the tools, or like isn't in, just because, again, how many people build businesses and then their own partner betrays them, right?
Mhm.
I know the guy who owns one of the biggest banks here in Houston, but obviously their bank does like 25 billion a year, and it's called Prosperity Bank here. It's huge, and I know at some point, like, his own partner like sued him for $9 million, like froze his accounts, like crazy shit. And that guy was like struggling, right? And this is a guy who owns like 1,100 acres of land here, and $10 million mansion there, whatever. And so that ability to know that I can have people I can trust with my life, or with my when we have kids, we're gonna have kids next year and whatnot.
Mhm.
Like, that's valuable. Like, I wouldn't even trust my kids with my own family. Like, even if they watch it, I hope they watch it. Like, fucking buy Technotur so you could be around my kids. Or I've told them, I've told my aunts, my mom, right? Like, just because you even have TT doesn't mean, like, you have to actually take the process serious, and that's for their own benefit, you know?
Mhm.
So at some point I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be so valuable that people want to be around me, and then I'll be like, okay, to be around me, you have to do the process for their own good. Like,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, look at how we're talking right now. Like, if you weren't in the group, do you think I'd be here doing this interview? Like, no,
No.
So, and that's not even out of like arrogance or anything. It's just, name one person in this world that is actually successful, is actually making change, who doesn't do it the same way. You think they'll just talk to you? It's like, no, you get in their groups so they can trust you, and then they do stuff.
Mhm.
So having people you could trust and want to spend time every weekend more than your family, like, that's valuable.
Yeah. It really is, because I
Yeah.
mean, I think a lot of us have found out really how far the relationships go in our families and how loyal they really were a few years back, right?
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people found out, shockingly, that their families weren't as loyal as they thought they would be, or as loving as they thought they would be, right?
Right. Yeah.
So,
100%. I literally received death threats, man. Like, or like threats from my own friends and stuff. I have screenshots. Like, that's what even fueled me. Like, I have screenshots at the beginning of like shit they would say. The people that were like, I only had two friends. Like. So I was like, damn. But yeah, 100%.
yeah.
But we're
That's
here
pretty
now.
amazing. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
here now. And you know what? Like, yes, because I mean, in another world, if we weren't in self-perfected together, we probably never would have crossed paths or talked to each other, right? Because we're just living such completely different lives.
Yeah, exactly. Unless the tools or the groups were called something else, it's like it just happens. The tool is called Technic. It could be named whatever else, and we'd be there, right? It's
Hmm.
not like, so that's the point too, right? It's like, it's a tool, but it's a really important tool. Just like how I would say a phone nowadays is like a necessity at this point. It's like, meaning people now they have to do a whole detox. So just not without their phone, and like some people have withdrawals, but
Hmm.
not having access to internet. It's like, what you let's say, imagine you wanted to do this interview where you're gonna get on a horse, and you know, well, you will probably have to swim across oceans. Let's say you didn't have a boat. Like, how much you have to go through just to tell me, hey, you want to be on an interview? But now
Right.
we have internet, so it's like, that is a luxury, right? So, yeah,
Yeah. Well, and it's true because I mean, even here in Mexico, yes, it's an emerging country. It's not, I mean, everyone calls it third world still. It's an emerging country. But I would say pretty much the majority of the population have a smartphone.
yeah.
They may not have a roof over their head. Like literally, they could actually have a house structure but no roof because they haven't
Yeah.
been able to afford to finish the roof. But they don't have a, so they have that, but they will have a smartphone now.
Yeah.
But smartphones here are ridiculously cheap too. Like if you're not getting
Yeah.
an iPhone or a Samsung, right? Like you can get all these
Yeah.
other
At
smartphones.
least you get something, yeah.
Yeah, and then the internet really is pretty darn cheap too, right? So I mean, you know,
No, I've seen the videos, like you see these people in the middle of jungle eating like random food, like bare feet, and and you're like, how does that guy have internet? But like he has to go hunt still to get food. Like what's going on? So
yeah,
yeah, exactly. The
yeah.
necessity.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it is really like you see people like walking around with their head in, like they'll walk right into a light pole because they don't even put their heads in
Yeah.
their phone. I don't know if
Exactly.
you've
Yeah.
seen that, but
I've done it. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly. It's happened.
yeah. No, I
But
have
yeah.
actually done detox from like devices and stuff for like I'll just go 24 hours or 2 days without like turning anything on. And people are like, well, I tried to message you and I tried to call you and blah blah blah. I'm
What
like,
happened?
I turned my phone off. I didn't turn on the computer. Like I went
Right.
out, I was at the beach, whatever. I did something, I was doing yoga, whatever. Okay, so I know we could go and chat all night long, but
Yeah.
I know it's getting a little bit later there for you.
Yeah.
I
We'll do
ask
more
everybody,
episodes.
yeah, we'll do more. This is only
Yeah.
the start, right? So,
Exactly. Yeah.
but I ask everybody if they were to go back to their 10-year-old self, what
Mhm.
advice would they give them?
My 10-year-old self, probably someone was doing something to me at 10 years old. I know. That sounds dark. I'd be like, get out of the room. But you know what? So I've heard people ask people that question, and one of my favorite answers is like, well, if I had told that person anything different, then I wouldn't be who I am today. If obviously if my life was different and it wasn't the way it turned out, I would 100% change many factors. I would be like, go talk to more people, go do this. But you know what? Because of how much things I didn't do as a kid, I was very shy, awkward, didn't know how to talk to anyone. In Iran, you don't even talk to girls because the guys go to one school, girls go to separate school, and it's like 45 minutes of driving apart, so you can't even walk if it's 45 minutes. Over there they'll just drive. Over there they drive in the sidewalks, so let alone walk that long. Like so you could never even talk to the opposite sex. And but because of all that, that's why I'm able to connect with so many different types of people from all walks of life. And I could be like, yeah, I've actually been there in terms of the fears you have, the thoughts you have, the lack of skill. Like I've experienced that and now I've created this. Let me show you how. And so
Mhm.
that it turned out to be a blessing. So, the 10-year-old me, between 10 or 12, I think that's when my aunt that sponsored us would come to Iran, and she would show me videos of her going to Vegas or going here, and I would just every night just lay on a bed and like literally picture myself being in US, and I was like, I know it's not gonna happen, but I was just living in my head, like you were saying, how you would be in your head. That was like the best place to be, was in my head, because I could actually have something. And yeah, there's not much I could say to that kid that was in Iran because you're so limited in that country. Not even a form of like being a victim, like legit, like try to make money there, like you get killed. Like there's so many ways that it's control. It's third world country for a reason. And
Mhm.
but I would just tell that kid like everything you want is gonna work out, even if I didn't believe it. So, but yeah, I know that's not one of those woo answers, but that's the honesty. Is like I'm here now chatting with you. If I change
Mhm.
something, I wouldn't be here chatting with you. So would I want that? Who
Wow.
knows?
You know, that's great, and it's it's true, right? Like I think a lot of us have, well, coulda, woulda, shoulda thoughts, right?
Yeah,
And but it is true because we are the people we are now and gotten to where we are because of what's happened in the past.
exactly. Like I would
So
say that that's the cool common factor within so many of us in the group is we've had exceptional lives. And so based on that point, it's like that's why we're exceptions in terms of like we're like the outcasts that like the society's like, oh, you're never gonna do
yeah.
anything. Your people told me I'm gonna grow up, pick up trash on the side of the streets, and I'm like, why? Like, yeah, robots do that. Like, I did not want to pick up trash. That's maybe one thing that made me want to be successful. I'm like, I'm not getting up at 5 a.m. to go pick up trash. But yeah, but no, I appreciate the question and I appreciate your time.
Hmm.
And yeah, we'll definitely do more.
Great.
Thank
And
you.
then, oh, you're welcome. And
Yeah.
thank you. And just before you go, is there any last piece of advice or any last thoughts that you want to share?
The best thoughts I could share is the thing that changed my life was actually connecting with someone one on one, right? And because all these people selling the courses, like they're not gonna hop on a call one on one. So you could be like, okay, but what actually went on behind the scene for you to be successful? Or, like people are like a course that's like, oh, go buy this real estate, flip it for $1 million and make this much. And I'm like, dude, I can't even get out of my bed. Like, what do you mean? And so the best advice I could say is for people to reach out to either you or I one on one, so then we can actually share. Like, if I know who I'm talking to, then I can tailor it so it can actually benefit them instead of me saying stuff, to feel
Hmm.
good. So that's one of the what advice I would leave people with is if you actually want to change, you could reach out, message on Instagram, Facebook. It's just Mahyar SD. I don't even know what it's called actually. Just Mayor, it should come up. But and don't be afraid. And yeah, like that could change your life. You never know.
Awesome. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
thank you so much. That was great. I love it.
Thank you.
So much in there today, and I know we're just going to keep going and with this conversation. So
100%.
amazing. Thank you. Well,
Thank you.
thank you so much, Mayor. And I can't wait till the next Self Perfected live event.
Yes. Can't wait.
All right.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.